Okay, there we go. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Art in the Morning. I'm Dede, and this is my regular Monday morning Ustream show. And it's a live show with live people with a live chat. So if you're watching the recording on YouTube, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here live if you're able to be here. I stream every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and usually during the week, and at least one impromptu a week during the week. Sometimes it's Wednesday. More times than not, it's a Wednesday morning, but my regular schedule show is Monday morning at 9 a.m. We like to start the week off happy. So thanks everybody for being here. And I do want to say real quick that I'm getting a lot of comments on YouTube saying how they like hearing the stories. I repeat the stories of people in the chat, and that it sounds like we're having so much fun, and sometimes they get to stop by, and so they're really commenting and complimenting you guys in the chat here. So I wanted to pass that on to you, that you guys are the ones that make it fun. The ones in the chat that are here live make it fun. And that's why my streams are long. I know long streams are not for everybody, but mine are long. I don't edit. I don't change anything. It's just like I just upload straight from Ustream to YouTube. And so, if you come across a part that, you see me, heat gun something 10 times, you just fast forward it, just click the little bar and fast forward it. But all my shows are live, and I think that one of the reasons that it's really helpful for people to have a non-sped up show is because then you can see how long things take. Because sometimes when you're watching a speeded up video, you can't tell how long something actually takes to draw or paint or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Don't email me. Okay, so today, before I'm gonna, I do try to do some segments. So, like, I am trying to separate the happy mail in the mornings in its own show, or if I do a separate project, like if I go from a color book project to an art journal project, I'll make separate videos for that. So I will separate the projects out. But if they're 3-hour projects and sometimes longer into two parts, then that's just how long it takes. So this first segment, I'm going to do a little bit of reading here. So if you want to get your coffee and chillax or get some art to work on while I'm doing that. But our lady quail, Jaen, she spells it Jaen, and she sent me some happy mail over the weekend. And so she visited, I don't know if y'all are familiar, I pulled out my paperback copy of Ellis Peters, the Cadfael, and I'm sure if you've watched I think it's BBC that put out the Cadfael series some years ago, but this paperback version's from 1977. I even have annotations in it, where I annotated some of it. But anyway, this is an old paperback copy, and it's the first in the series, the Cadfael series, and it's called A Morbid Taste for Bones. Well, Lady Jaen and her husband, they went on I don't know where all they went other than Wales and, where else they went. But she went on in the steps of Brother Cadfael, the Shrewsbury Abbey. And she sent me, this is like the original, I think. Look, it's just so, either that or she redid it because it's awesome. And so this is where you get to walk in the steps of Cadfael. If you haven't read the books, oh my gosh, you really need to read them. He's a monk. And what is it? Something like in 1100s, 1200s. I don't remember the exact years. I haven't read them in years, but I've read all of them. I'm not sure how many there were. She's got a list of them here on one of her papers. Let's see. It's at the back here. Is it this one? She has a full list of all of them. Here, I think it's a full list. Somewhere in here. I saw it. I don't see it right now. But anyway, here we go. I thought there was more than this. I thought there was more than 14. Well, there's 14 listed here, so that must be how many there are in the book series. And I'm not sure how many, it was either PBS or BBC made with Jacoby, what's his name? I forget his name now. The actor Jacob. His last name is Jacoby. I'll think of it, or I know one of the girls here will remember who it is. But anyway, I love these books. I've read, like I said, I've read them all, and so Jan knew how much I love the Cadfael. Hey, Elk Lady. And I know it's Elk Katie. I know, guys. Don't email me. I just like calling her Elk Lady. So she did the tour, and she wrote up some things here that I'm going to read to you guys. So I'm going to be reading for maybe 45 minutes. I'm not sure. So there were more. It's an old brochure, 1991. Okay, I thought there were more. For some reason, I was thinking there was like 20 something. I just haven't read them since, this one's from 1977. And yeah, so I haven't read them in a long time, so I couldn't remember. Yeah, okay, so here we go. Due for publication in 1987. So yeah, thanks, Jan. Yeah, she said this was an old brochure. Okay, so yeah, there's more. I have a list of them around here somewhere. Hey, Pat. Thanks everybody for being here. So I'm going to be Derek Jacoby. Thank you, Lady Jan. Lady, I call her Lady Quail. Her name's LadyTrueNorth Jan, Jaen. Hey, Janet. So anyway, I'm going to read some of the things that she wrote up here and sent. She sent some stamps. She sent some herbs. I mean, this is awesome. This was just awesome. She sent some frankincense, but I'm going to go ahead and just going to read. Okay, let me read this one first because this is the addendum. Okay. April 2016. So y'all just sit back. I got my coffee. We're going to chill. I'm going to read. I love reading. Oh, but let me preface this by saying, if I get any Welsh names wrong, don't email me. You can correct me here in chat if you want to write out the pronunciation for me. But don't get upset if I say something wrong in the Welsh, because I know there's going to be some kind of an accent to it, right? And hey, this is Georgia. Okay, so let me get ready. I'm going to read this to you. This is just awesome. It's awesome. And all of you, hey, Lisa, all of you that know Lady Quail Jan are going to love this. If y'all remember, I read one of her zines last week, the one with Mr. Bear and the three bears and the real estate agent. That was written by Jan. Okay, so here we go. And we have pictures, too. Now, which one is the one where she talks about the computer? Yeah, this is it. Okay. So I'll hold up the pictures too, but I'm going to be reading. All right. What accent? CV. If y'all do have any questions or want to talk to me, guys, do put it in caps so I know you're talking to me. Okay. Dear Miss Dede, it's April 2016. Dear Miss Dede, hello from Quail Hill in the season of what I call glorious abundance or abandoned abundance, where orchards planted over 100 or so years ago, even though they are no longer tended, are in full blossoming glory against the dark green of the firs of country lanes and are delighting our eyes and hearts as they perfume our daily walks. The photo, and for those of y'all that don't know, they're in Canada, okay? Lady Quail Jan and Mr. Bear. The photo is of a wild cherry growing happily amid broadleaf maples and a poplar grove. It has become sprummer once again. We have scooted over to June, completely bypassing May as far as the temps are concerned, 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Thankfully, my micro irrigation guy came over early to set up my watering schedule for sprummer. Spring and summer together. I love that. And with that out of the way, I can finally sit down and with a quail trail or two in this letter presented to you. Ta-da! I'm reading it just like she says, okay? The missing brother Cadfael letter. I am sure you thought I had forgotten. I will start by apologizing for the tardiness of this letter by saying that, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. As soon as I began to work on it, rummaging through our midnight library downstairs, we quickly discovered that my photo album of that particular 1991 trip was missing. And there's Mr. Bear in their library, if you can see the picture there. I don't see anything in caps, guys, so if I'm not going to be paying attention a lot to chat unless you put it in caps. Okay, because I'm going to be reading. Luckily, Mr. Bear had taken slides of that trip. This explains the color of the photos, and proceeded to sit down over a few evenings and digitize them so I could have them transferred to the PC. Bless his socks. That's what she said. I'm reading. That went well until my PC's motherboard and hard drive gave me the black screen of death when I went to turn it on one bright morning. It is currently in the shop in Vancouver, and I'm hoping that they can recover the hard drive at least. In the meantime, I'm redoing everything as a backup PC on a backup PC that luckily we had in the midnight library, and by some miracle is functioning well with Windows 10. Fingers crossed. Fingers XD'd. I like that. And there's Mr. Bear in the library. So now on with our travels with Brother Cadfael. Since this trip was over 25 years ago and our brains have aged a bit since then, this is at best our collective memory can remember. September 1991, Wales. Having read and reread A Morbid Taste for Bones by Ellis Peters, I believe it was Mr. Bear who said, "Let's do a trip using the book as a travel guide." This is just too stinking awesome to me. She didn't write that. We arrived in early September with Indian summer weather in full autumnal, in autumn's glory. The oaks and beeches were flaming orange, red, and russet on either side of the motorway as we headed in a northwesterly direction, following the pilgrim's route to Holywell, the place of St Winifred's healing well. Brother Cadfael's Abbey of St. Peter and St. Paul in Shrewsbury would just have to wait for our return journey back. Here's Holywell. What a magical place. Okay, and here's the statue she's getting ready to talk about. And I know, guys, they're a little, it's hard to get the camera to focus when I pull them really close. Imagine, if you will, a carved stone chapel built over a perpetual bubbling spring, which even in times of drought has never run dry. We can personally attest to that, for in that September, the UK was experiencing one of the hottest and driest seasons on record. The yellow tents to the right of the entranceway are bathing change tents, as women, men, and families have their own scheduled times to bathe in her healing spring. So you can kind of see it right there. As you walk towards the chapel, you are greeted by a statue of St. Winifred, and if you look closely at her neck, you can see the scar where her head was lopped off her shoulders by that evil Welsh prince Caradog. According to that legend, the healing spring, or holy well, sprang from where her head came to rest after rolling downhill. And here's the spring. This is all like stone. That's all like stone, and this is the water right in there. I don't know if that's coming across here. You want her book days. Her uncle St. Bueno washed her head in the spring, and while praying, placed it back on her body, where it miraculously healed and brought her back to life. See Quail Trail 1 for more info. And there's all kinds. She said all kinds of stuff. Here's in the steps of Brother Cadfael. This has got the different walks. It's got the welcome, walk 1, walk 2. Here's all the maps and the walkways to take the different walks and where everything is. Okay. And then walk 3. So anyway, then there's the books published at the time. The first thing you hear as you go inside the chapel is the sound of the burbling spring, something you would not expect in a place of worship. The water is so clear you can see the stones at the bottom of the pool, and you can see stones right there. Red stained from the centuries of iron-rich water that has flowed over them. And over in the corner of the spring is another statue of St. Winifred, this time with a crozier to signify that she was made abbess at the Gwynrith Monastery. Her that's her and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. Crozier. It's her like the staff there. See the staff she's holding? Don't email me. She was made abbess at the Gwyntherin Monastery. As for the large white feather, I would like to think it means she is a patroness of calligraphers and scholars too. Quail Trail 1, The Legend of St. Winifred. I hope this is interesting to you guys. If not, we'll get to our project shortly, but I love this. I love Cadfael, and I really appreciate Jaen going through all this trouble. Okay, one Sunday while her uncle St. Bueno was serving the liturgy at the church, Winifred was alone in her house. A prince named Caradog was riding by, and I know if you're Welsh, you're probably wincing at my pronunciations. And stopped at the house to ask for a drink of water. Winifred was very beautiful, and Caradog was stricken with the desire to have her in marriage. The maiden's resolve to preserve her virginity and become a nun was unshakable. However, so the prince attempted to take her by force. Winifred struggled free and ran toward the church, but Caradog soon caught up with her on his horse. Out of anger at her refusal, he struck off her head with his sword. Her severed head rolled down the hillside to the churchyard, when her uncle and the congregation, which probably included Winifred's other kin, saw what had happened. They were horrified. The wicked Caradog fell dead on the spot. Other historical sources say that he was killed by Winifred's brother Owain as an act of revenge. A spring of healing water sprang forth at the place where St. Winifred's head fell. St. Bueno took Winifred's head and replaced it to her body, then prayed to God that she be restored whole. By St. Bueno's prayers, Winifred came back to life. The two sat on a rock which was later named St. Bueno's Rock, and her uncle told her that anyone seeking help through her prayers at that spot would find it. A red mark remained around her neck as a remnant of her miraculous restoration. After 8 years spent at Holywell, Winifred received an inspiration to leave the convent and retire inland. Accordingly, St. Winifred went upon her pilgrimage to seek for a place of rest. Ultimately, she arrived at Gwyntherin near the source of the river Elwy. Elwy, Elwy. Gwyntherin. Okay, Gwyntherin. Thank you, Jan. Holywell and the gift shop lady. Okay, now we're back to Jan and Mr. Bear. After I visited the chapel and was heading toward the car park, the lady from the gift shop came rushing out to me. I stopped and turned towards her, thinking I'd probably left something behind, or perhaps had strayed into an area that I was not supposed to be. I had been known to do that. Grin. She has a little G, grin. She took a breath and then said, I don't know why I'm to give you these, but you are to have these 2 medals of our St. Winifred, which were blessed by our bishop, who was here last week. Then she took my hand and placed a small envelope in it. I thanked her profusely. She smiled at me, took my hands, blessed me, then went back to the gift shop in the chapel. So I love these little stories. Isn't it good? I know. Oh, well, this is just the first book. Visualize. And if y'all are hearing me talk, Visualize is a person in the chat. Visualize is one of the girls here. Anyway, I think there's 20. I'm thinking 24 or 29 in the series, and it's awesome. If you haven't seen, there's the BBC or the PBS, one or both, did a TV series on Brother Cadfael. Okay. This little paragraph is called Shortbread and Sheep. Heading up to the mountains of that part of Wales, I remember our stopping at one point to have our lunch and admire the breathtaking views of the valleys below, the silver ribbon of a river, the blue, cloudless sky. We had taken to packing a light lunch with us, in parentheses, having learned that pubs at that time were rather too smoky for us, and that finding anything to eat between 2 and 7 p.m. was not an option. So there I was, sitting in the car, minding my own business, the windows rolled down, bemusedly watching a huge flock of sheep totally surround our car like a white woolly river. And just as I was about to take a bite from my Walker's shortbread biscuit, suddenly my hand was engulfed by a pair of rubbery lips. Slurp, crunch. My shortbread, it was gone, just like that. One of those silly sheep had devoured it before I could put it in my mouth. It had snuck its head in through the window and helped itself. Shortbread war. Sheep 1, me 0. Ha! Note, don't eat shortbread biscuits around sheep. Knowing that our drivers would be on the longish side and that at times slow due to sheep jams and other things like a tractor with a load of manure-laden straw bales, gleefully shedding and sharing bits of his perfumed bundles with those, like us, who traveled behind him, we had brought cassette tapes of Enya's Caribbean Blue, the song, Enya, the song Caribbean Blue, was our favorite. Even now, so many years later, hearing it again brings back that shortbread incident with that sheep, as well as watching brilliant multicolored hang gliders launch themselves from the surrounding ledges and float like giant butterflies overhead. Her descriptions are just like, aren't they amazing, guys? I hope I'm not yelling at you guys. I hope I'm not too loud. Green, it's green, they say, on the far side of the hill. And again, she's got her pictures here. And how do you say it again? Gwentherin? Green cannot begin to describe the hills and the valleys below at that time of year. In Ireland, it is said there are 42 shades of green. Well, I think Wales probably has at least 50 shades or more. Forget gray. That was a pun. After traveling uphill and down dale, don't forget we had no GPS and I was the navigator struggling with the Welsh place names. Finally, we stopped at the town for Gwentherin. Oh, sorry, guys. I know I'm not pronouncing. Gwentherin. And as we drove in and parked our car, I noticed there were a group of ladies sitting in the town square, having what looked like some sort of a meeting. I should explain that Gwentherin has a literal town square, a raised stone and slate-floored platform with benches on the sides, right dab smack in the middle of town. I wandered over, climbed a few steps up to them, and asked if it was possible to get directions to the ruins of St Winifred's monastery. As luck and St Winifred would have it, the ladies who were meeting were the local Women's Institute. They were more than thrilled to give me a brief bit of history about the place. One of the ladies told me that there was not much left of the monastery. Oh, wait, let me, okay, here we go. One of the ladies told me there was not much left of the monastery. The stones have been used to build. Can't do it. It sounds like I can't do that. The accent. I'm trying, Jan. But I'll read it as she said it without an accent. One of the ladies told me there was not much left of the monastery as the stones have been used to build the current church, which was locked, but here you go, here's the key. She wrote it in phonetics like they were speaking it. But don't email me on my accent, people. I can do a Miss Paula Dean, but I cannot do a Welsh lady, okay? Thanks for that embarrassing moment, Jan. Okay, she finished. And they're all laughing at Jan now because of how she wrote it. She fished into her apron pocket and handed me one of those huge medieval skeleton keys that looked like iron lace. Seeing my surprised look, she explained that I had an honest face. Your accent needs work. I know, right, Lindsay? She explained that I had an honest face and that she was tidying up the area where the meeting had been held. She could not go with me as much as she would have liked to. She also said to meet me to be sure and admire the yew trees and the I can't do it. I'm just too laughing to try to even think about a Welsh accent, for goodness sake. To be sure and admire the yew trees in the churchyard as they have just been measured the year before and were thought to be between 2,500 and 1,600 years old and probably planted by St Winifred herself. Exclamation point. Above is the photo of St. Winifred's chapel and the aforementioned yew trees in the background. Okay. I know you're teasing me, guys. That's fine. You can tease me. I deserve to be teased. Let me say. Just don't email me. Okay. Another view from the chapel churchyard overlooking the gorgeous autumnal valley. So there you go. They're beautiful. I know you tease with love. Thank you, Lindsay. Around the back of the church, in a row of four ancient standing stones, the four ancient standing stones. I wonder, did you walk through those, Jan? Did you? Did you? Approximately 1 meter high and aligned roughly east to west. A close look at the first stone reveals carving at what appears to be a W. Locals believe these were the outer wall stones of St. Winifred's Monastery and part of the original foundation. I hope y'all can see them right there. See the four stones. I know they are beautiful pictures, right? I know, it's amazing writing. Jan is amazing. Yep, she's the wordsmith. After spending a delightful afternoon wandering about, we reluctantly left Gwentherin so we could make our final stop at Shrewsbury before nightfall. A few things stand out about the visit to the Abbey of St. Peter and St. Paul in Shrewsbury. When you get to the gift shop, be prepared to join in the wonderful belief that Brother Cadfael is very much a living part of that abbey and just stepped out for a moment to go tend his beloved herb garden. When asked where we parked our car, we told them the location, and they smiled and nodded and said, "Oh no, no more accents." Oh, of course, you parked near the woodcutter's cottage. Regretfully, we could not visit Brother Cadfael's herb garden this time, as major flooding from the river had occurred prior to the drought, and most of the garden was still underwater and in the process of being drained. And then in parentheses, planning to correct that oversight this forthcoming fall. Stay tuned. When I went around and investigated, for those of y'all that don't know, Brother Cadfael solves murder mysteries. He's a monk, but he was in the war, so he wasn't like, I don't want to say a pristine monk. What's the But I mean, he's a man of the world that later became a monk. So he knows the ways of the world, and but he lives in a monastery and he solves murders. Okay? And there's one in every book. So they're like murder mysteries with the monk. I love them. I'm going to reread them, but I'm going to have to. I can't read this small print anymore. I'm going to have to get find some large print versions, or maybe I can buy them. Maybe they're available to buy on Nook. On the Nook, online, Amazon, one of them. So I'll have to look. Your dad is a huge fan of that series. Yeah. Hey, Cable Claire. Anybody else I missed? Flint Rock. Carla, Crocker too. I know there's Denise. There's a whole bunch I haven't said hi to, but thanks for being here. Okay, let's continue on. Yeah, this is your morning. Yeah, you got to get your graham crackers on your milk, or I don't know what they have in what's the morning tea and crumpets. Okay, don't email me. All right. So while I went around and investigated nooks and crannies, including what remained of St Winifred's shrine. Okay, so here's the shrine. Mr. Bear, unknown to me, plunked down some silver and enrolled me in the Guild of St. Winifred. So there's the certificate. These two, they have a great. They're just great together. Quail Trail 2. Sadly, St. Winifred's shrine fell to the ravages of Henry VIII and again to Cromwell. After the successive destructions, all that remained of her remains was a single finger bone. It was halved. One part was sent to Holywell and the other back to Shrewsbury to be enclosed in the shrine that you see in the photo. I didn't want to leave this letter bare without a current photo of Shrewsbury and Abbey and Brother Cadfael's herb garden. So there it is right there. There's the herb garden right there. Thankfully, the net, not only the internet, thankfully the net not only provided one, but also knowing how much you love all things medieval, gave me a marvelous map of Brother Cadfael Shrewsbury, which I've included for you. Blessings from Lady Quail and Mr. Bear, Jan and Gary from Quail Hill, and she signed it for me. So this is my letter, my personal letter. Thank you so much, Jan. I love it. Now we got a little addendum here. I found that when I go traveling, and I do have to open this. I found that when I go traveling to various places, either the scent that I carry with me in the form of perfume or what I smell brings back the scent of place. I do that because she has quotes around it, right? Frankincense, for example, reminds me of the cathedrals and chapels I have visited, and the lavender, thyme, and rosemary are all reminiscent of what Brother Cadfael's herbarium would offer to my curious nose. Imagine the herbs hanging from the rafters or in drying racks, and on the floor by his potting bench. Sacks of lavender buds waiting to be made into vinegars and honeys, or perhaps used as a hiding place for candlesticks. Grin. That's from one of the stories. Quail Trail 3, the Brother Cadfael Rose. I bet you didn't know that our Brother Cadfael had a rose named for him, did you? Neither did I. I'm including a David Austin page with a link to the Brother Cadfael rose that they grow. And she sent me, where is it? Is it on this page? Oh, maybe it's on the next. Yeah, here it is. Okay. I think I was born out of time. Smile. I was hoping that when you pursue the photos and documents enclosed, you will also smell the packets at the same time and be transported back to the places that I write about, namely Holywell, Gwentherin, and the Abbey of St. Peter and St. Paul. Blessings from Lady Quail and Mr. Bear. And right in here, she has some frankincense, gold grain, white grain from the Orthodox. And inside there's right there, and I'm going to read the little, you can't see it on camera, but let me show you a couple more things here, because she has a little article about that too. So here's the David Austin roses. So if you want to go to, what is it again? davidaustin.com, if you want to read about the Cadfael rose. She has a whole write-up about that. She printed off the article from David Austin Roses. Or if you want to know about any roses, there's that site. Then over here is where the PS. The white powdery incense granules comes from our 2003 travel to Provence in South France. I purchased it from this smiling Greek Orthodox nun at her abbey stall in the town's Saturday market. She and sister nuns not only make the incense, but as you can see, had an offer. Their homemade had other off. Well, they were offering other things. Their homemade jams and flavored honeys too. PPS, not to be left out. I'm also enclosing some Year of the Monkey stamps for your sock monkey. For the warm weather here is something you can do with the lavender buds. Ah, sniff, sniff, everybody. And then here are the Year of the Monkey stamps. I'll take those out to show you. Because she knows I love my sock monkey. Isn't this awesome, guys? I'm sorry. I love it. Well, I'm not sorry. I love it. Let me open the little packet here that she got from the post office. And here are, oh, I'm opening on the other side. So here is the Year of the Monkey Canadian stamps. I know you probably can't see them very well, but that's the official Canadian Year of the Monkey stamps. Sniff, sniff, yes. And then down here, for the warm weather, here's something you can do with the lavender buds. And it's lavender lemonade. It's a recipe for lavender lemonade. Okay, so let's see. Then, I don't know that y'all, this is kind of long. I don't know if y'all want to, yeah, I'll probably just see if I can give y'all a link to this. But this is the interview with Ellis Peters in 1993. Now, she's since passed. I don't remember the year. So she's not writing any more Cadfael. So y'all need to, yeah, go read the Cadfaels. And like I said, I'm not sure how many there are. There's 20, I can't remember. But it's like an interview with her in 1973, and I'll just read a little bit. I don't know. I might get carried away. Hey, Iffy. Mystery in the Garden interview with Ellis Peters. Ellis Peters reigns as the undisputed queen of mystery writers in the hearts of many herb lovers. She has written 19 novels and 3 short stories featuring Brother Cadfael. Now remember, this was in 1993. A 20th century, a 12th century soldier of fortune turned Benedictine monk. Cadfael is an herbalist, apothecary, and amateur sleuth. The early chapters of many of the books take place in his herb garden or in the small workshop he maintains adjoining it. Do y'all want to hear some more about Cadfael? I mainly wanted to read the letter that Jaen wrote. This is what she wrote, and I wanted y'all to make sure and hear that. So I hope y'all love this. I love this. I thought it was so awesome. That she wrote that. I hope y'all enjoyed listening to her. She's an amazing writer. She's an amazing writer. And I know there's a lag in chat, so I'm waiting for it to catch up. I'll take a sip of coffee. Is Jan still here? Thanks, Anna. I know there's some people just coming in. Thanks, everybody. I know, wasn't it, Juju? Amazing. Okay, Mel. I loved her letter too. I know. Thanks so much, Jan. That was just awesome of you to do that, knowing how much I love him. Thanks again. All right, I'm going to read a little bit about Ellis Peters. Peters made a trip to the United States to promote her newest Brother Cadfael book, The Holy Thief. I had an opportunity to interview her for the Herb Companion during a visit to the Book Passage bookstore in Corte Madra, California. I know Debbie Boring's probably rolling her eyes at my pronunciation. I'm sorry to tell you I'm not an herb gardener myself, she confesses. Oh, I have a few kitchen herbs. I can snip off a sprig of rosemary and 1 or 2 other things, but I don't have a proper herb garden. Peters is a lifelong gardener and garden lover, however. I have quite a large garden, but I have someone else tending it now. You know, I go out and deadhead the roses now and then, and I sit in it and admire. I am not able to do much more. Let me look her up real quick in Wikipedia to tell you when, her age and when she passed away. Okay, here it is. And her real name, by the way, is Edith Pargeter, Pargeter. Um, she was born in 1913. She died in 1995. So this article was written 2 years before she passed away. Oh, I'm sorry, Jan. What'd you say in case of questions? It rolled off, so I didn't see what you said, Jan. All I see is in case of questions. Yes, Mad Rat, you'll have to go back and watch the beginning of the show where I read her visit, her letter when they went in 1990. Was it 91? I think it was 1991 that they went. Yeah, 1991. I read her letter there. Okay. So this was 2 years before she passed away. Ellis is a lifelong gardener and garden lover, however. Oh, yeah, she has somebody else do it for her. Peters is a slender, gracious woman who navigates with a confidence that belies her leather-thonged cane and recent recovery from major back surgery. She is cordial, humorous, and possesses an unfailing alertness and poise. She was born Edith Mary Pargeter, Pargeter, in Hay, Shropshire. God. Don't email me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm getting tongue twisted. In 1913, and still lives within a few miles of her birthplace. She began her writing career in 1936 with the publication of her first novel. Oh, okay, I'm not going to try to pronounce any more of some of these. Over the years, she has published more than 90 historical novels. I can say them in my head, but when they come out of my mouth, they sound like a oh, what'd she say, Jan said? Okay, all right. Um, Over the years, she has published more than 90 historical novels, collections of short stories, mysteries, thrillers, plays, and book translations. Book translations from Czech. She taught herself Czech from books and recordings. Her work in translations earned her the Czechoslovakian Society for International Relations Gold Medal in 1968. It was a chemist, in parentheses, pharmacist. She says, I was a chemist, pharmacist, assistant for 8 years before the war. That was before many modern synthetic drugs, and we used to prepare many of our own compounds. We used to make bottled medicine, and we compounded specialties with ingredients, and she names all the different things like rosemary and all the different herbs. You never see that nowadays. And some of Cadfael's prescriptions come out of those years. So her knowledge of herbs and the medicinal uses of herbs come from, that's where she got her information for writing some of the Cadfael, because he was herbalist, Cadfael. Okay, well, I'm not going to read all this, guys, because it's like many, many pages long. But let's see if it says, if she cites what it's from here. Okay, it's from January 1993 from www.motherearthliving.com is where the article is from, written by Robbie Cranch. So if you go to motherearthliving.com and probably do the search if you want to read the interview with her from 1993. So, yes. If you want to know more about Ellis Peters, the author of the Cadfael series. Yes, the herbs. Okay, so I'm waiting for the chat to catch up. So thanks, Jan, so much for everything, every bit of it. I love it. So do you have any more questions or anything? Thanks, Lindsay. I'm doing well. Well, I don't know about that, but I can read it in my head much better than I can pronounce some of these things. But I really so love the whole letter that Jan wrote. So if you're just now coming in, make sure and go back and watch the beginning of the show so you can see the letter that from the trip that Lady Jan and Mr. Bear took in 1991. Okay. Hey, Barb. Anybody else popping in? Let's see who else. I said hi to Carol and Cable Claire. Thanks, everybody, for popping in. Cuts of paper. It's been a while since I've seen you. And Debbie and Denise. I'm just Judy, Juju, Jody, Judy Patootie, Carla, Kelly, two Kellys, Carrie Ann. Scrolling. So thanks, everybody. Mary Palm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to do a project. But I wanted this to be its own little special Cadfael special. Oh no, good grief. I'm so glad that you were able to get the information from your slides, Jan. And I hope you can recover all your stuff off your computer. But I thought it was awesome that you went to the trouble to do this and to share it with all of us, not just me, but with all of us, your trip. And anybody that loves Cadfael will appreciate it. All right, guys, so I will be right back. And I'm not leaving you guys on the chat, but I am going to start a new show to do a project. So thanks, everybody, for being here and listening to the story. And I appreciate it. I so appreciated it. Oh, no, I thought they were great. It's great. Yeah, just have to kind of excuse the non-pronunciation of the Welsh words, but yeah. Okay, guys, I'll be right back.